Crystal Johnson, the editor of Multicultural Cooking Network, and we're in the kitchen of Zachariah Adeniji, a good friend of mine, who is actually preparing a West African dish for a multicultural potluck.
Hello, my name is Zachariah Adeniji, and I'm about to prepare a wonderful West African dish known as Amala. But in English, you can refer to it as Oat Fufu. And it's going to go alongside with a wonderful sauce. Is spinach and tomato sauce, but with some added ingredients. And you'll find out what the ingredients those are. So when some people are cutting the peppers and the onions and to blend them, they like to cut them separately and blend them separately, put them in different bowls, and then pour them into the pot. Well, they're all going into the same pot, so therefore I just blend them all together. How spicy you want to make it will determine what peppers you use. For example, this is just plain red bell pepper. For many people that might be spicy. For me, you just add a little taste. But since I know the people I'm cooking for, it may be spicy, I'm going to use the whole of this red pepper, and I'm going to use a little bit. Into the blender, and that's simply just to make it easier to blend. Okay, so now we take this, we pour it into the pot, and we steam it up a little bit. Actually, what we're going to do is just let this boil up. We're going to let it boil up before I add the tomato sauce, because those are our spices. You want them to cook a little bit first. I've added the water to the pot, and I have to make sure that boils up first. I'm going to be preparing for about 10 people, but it's going to be about, each serving is going to be a little smaller than my fist size here, being that it's pretty much a sampling for different cultures, to eat. Not sure if they're going to like it a lot or not like it as much, so I want to make sure the portions are somewhat fairly sized. Okay, so this is Oat Fufu, $5. That's typically what we call Amala in Nigeria. So this $5, this is about 3-4 pounds maybe. This is an outrage. We buy it in America, so of course influx of money. This is too small to be $5 if you were buying it in Nigeria. But of course, I just thought I'd mention that while we're waiting for the water to boil. Alright, so you just let the spices boil for a while, and then after that you can add the tomato sauce. It can be a store-bought tomato sauce, or you can blend, like I blended these. You can blend your own tomatoes if you want. And then just pour it right on in there and let that cook up with it as well. And like I said, I am going to need a bigger pot. Alright. Okay, so I found it very good to have an extra can of tomato sauce on hand. Just in case your sauce becomes too spicy or ends up being too spicy, you can always add some more tomato sauce to kind of kill the spice down. Alright, so our pepper is still boiling, our sauce is still boiling, and typically I like to take some hot water, set it aside, just in case I start to add the ratios and it becomes clump. I can add the hot water to make it a little smoother. Okay, so the secret to making this very purified, you don't want knots in it. As one person from Nigeria told me once when I was cooking it for the very first time, you don't want it to have cocoa. So you want to stir at the same time as you're pouring in, and you want to make sure you get a lot in there at one go, because if there's not enough in there, then it will become clumped up. This is the tough part that I run away from, because I'm just pretty much lazy. I don't like this hard part. So what you want to do is, after you've been cooking it, you want to get it very smooth as possible, and then take something that you can cuff it with, like that, and put it into a plastic wrap. I suggest a plastic wrap because it's easier to come off of that when you're about to eat. And then just kind of wrap it up. And I'm preparing it individually because it's customary to just have it individually served. like that. And then the sauce, then the person can get themselves. Alright. And then I'll just repeat that. So I'm going to switch pots so it can just be a little bit easier to cook out of one that has more space in it. That's fine there. Which is, this one is not really, I'm adding my meat of choice, which this is not really meat, this is shrimp. So you can add whatever you want to it as well. I'm going to let that cook for a while. Stir it in there. About to add some oil. This is just regular corn oil. Culturally, we'll use palm oil. Stirring, this is kind of thick. You don't want your sauce that thick. If you want it that thick, you can have it, but typically you don't want it. So you can just add a little water to it. Stir around. Make it a little bit more fluid. Alright, so now the sauce is boiling. I want to add the chopped spinach into the mix there. It's been thawed out. The chopped spinach is going to soak up some of your sauce, so you don't want to put way too much into it. So for the amount that I'm cooking here, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of sugar. Salt. Don't use sugar, please. Let's just use 1.5, or we can test it later. Alright, so I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of bouillon, and that is equal to 2 cubes.